So there's a story out today is that the Vikings are in a little bit of a dilemma. And the headline today is it too early to question what the Vikings did letting Sam Darnold go? All right, so Sam Darnold was great in Minnesota, much better than I think J.J. McCarthy could ever be. I really believe that. He had 35 touchdowns, 12 picks, 4,300 yards last year. It was unbelievable on the road. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is that. Darnold in Minnesota had a 103 passer rating. Darnold in Seattle has a 107 passer rating. He's an elite athlete. He is big. He is strong. I always said he's somewhere between Carson Wentz and Andrew Luck. He's a really, really big-time talent. Can be a little reckless, but if you give him a good coach and structure, he's a baller. He's a great player. So that's the first thing is I think they wanted to sign Sam Darnold, but they wanted a bargain, and Sam's agent and Sam said, no, I want to be a starting quarterback without some young guy hovering over me. So the first thing, I'm going to defend Minnesota. It is really hard to find a franchise quarterback. Really hard. Go look at the Jets since Joe Namath or the Dolphins since Dan Marino. Cleveland, let's not even get into it. I mean, the Saints have only had two really elite franchise quarterbacks in the entire franchise history, Archie Manning and Drew Brees. I mean, strangely, Cincinnati, weird, cheap Cincinnati, always gets quarterback right. Kenny Anderson, Boomer Esiason, Carson Palmer, Andy Dalton made the playoffs 4 times, and Joe Burrow. Yeah, small market, frugal to the point of being cheap. The Bengals have always nailed it. The Chargers, who disappoint fans, always you kind of feel deep down they underachieve. The Chargers get quarterback right. Dan Fouts, Stan Humphries took him to a Super Bowl. Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Justin Herbert. But I mean, Tampa's been around since 76? Baker Mayfield's the first quarterback they've ever had to make multiple Pro Bowls. So it is hard to find a quarterback. And we bang on Tua, but I mean, the Dolphins, let's be honest, he made a Pro Bowl. They had the number 1 offense with him. But he feels small. It's hard. You take Tua. You keep him. You extend him, I guess. I didn't like the contract, so it's very hard. The second thing is, once you draft a quarterback, like J.J. McCarthy in the first round, are you going to cut Bade? What are you supposed to do, not play him? He's played a couple games. And one of his quarters was great. The other 7, not so much. But, he's young. I thought he was overvalued. I thought he was more of a second-round quarterback. But, whatever. But what are you going to do? They wanted Darnold, but they wanted him on a discount. They liked Daniel Jones. They wanted him on a discount. Well, Daniel Jones wants to start without J.J. McCarthy breathing down his neck, and Darnold wants to start. So, I mean, Darnold and Daniel Jones are like, well, you got this young guy behind us. The minute we struggle, go to 2-game losing streak, we're out. So I don't blame Darnold. I don't blame Daniel Jones. And I don't blame Kevin O'Connell. You got to play him. He just looks like he's a little overwhelmed. And Kevin O'Connell, as this season now is at a tipping point, does it circle the drain, talks about their quarterback position.
Played a lot of guys at the position, and we've tried to navigate those times by, being at our best for that player and ultimately try to do the things that they're most comfortable with. And that can be different when you think about Kirk Cousins to Sam Darnold to J.J. McCarthy to now Carson Wentz. And there's been others that have played at a really high level and helped us win some games along the way as well. So I think it's just, it's not leaving any stone unturned.
Minnesota feels like the Indianapolis Colts. Good roster, well run, smart GM, excellent offensive coach. And you, for the last several years, are looking for the quarterback.
Yeah. So this is an interesting take because Colin's not saying a lot here, actually, when you really think about it. He's not really giving any type of firm take here, which I find interesting. He's obviously not high on J.J. McCarthy. We know that. We know he's obviously really high on Sam Darnold. I'm a lot higher on J.J. than Colin is, but I'm also really high on Sam Darnold. And I discussed this with the Minnesota Vikings fans all summer long about Sam, and there was just this automatic, this automatic presumption that, like, hey, Sam Darnold was only good because he was here with Minnesota, because he was here with Kevin O'Connell. We can get rid of him. We can bring another quarterback. We're going to learn it. We're going to grow and evolve our young, cheap quarterback rookie deal. That's what we're going to do. That's what we want to take advantage of. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And there's some reality to it, but not the whole thing. And Sam Darnold now is playing great. And Sam Darnold not only benefits from a great coach, as every quarterback does, but what I kept trying to also really reinforced to Vikings fans about Sam was that it wasn't just Kevin O'Connell, that he had been working with other coaches specifically on his mechanics, his footwork. Like he was working on concrete things that helped him evolve and grow as a quarterback over the years. And it wasn't just like, oh, hey, I got to Kevin O'Connell and now I'm successful. I mean, he was already being really impressive even in San Francisco. And when you listen to what Shanahan had to say about him, it was just, nothing but praise. And when he got little moments to play for the 49ers under very, hard situations like Purdy getting knocked out randomly of a game, and then like at the very end of the season when you're playing with all backups, you could see the growth and you could see where he is. That's why you always, you can't, I think Minnesota Vikings fans should know this better than any team right now, is that you can't always just go 100% by the outcome, and you can't just go 100% by the box score. I think Carson Wentz played really, really well last weekend, and yet the box score doesn't, I don't think the box score does it justice. When you really look at some of the throws that Carson was making, some of the reads that Carson was making, you're just like, that's impressive. And I think what we don't give enough credit for is it is how hard it is to find just a good quarterback in the NFL. Hey, that's a good quarterback. And part of it is because our conversations, and Colin does this all the time, and I always push back on it, where he was just like, he'll bring up, I forget which quarterback he did with this recently, but it was just the other day that I was like, what are we talking about here? Because he's like, this quarterback, and he compares it to like, to Patrick Mahomes, and then he like jumps to Justin Fields. I think it might have been like with Caleb Williams. And it was just like, what extremes are we going? We got one quarterback who's hanging on to stay in the NFL, and we got another quarterback who's going to be considered one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the position. And we never leave room for anything else. And the reality is that even finding a quarterback as great as Sam Darnold is not easy. And having a year where you throw for over 35 touchdowns, over 4,000 yards, et cetera, like that's not easy. And it's not just like great coaching. It's not just because of great pieces around you. Like, like it's a combination of so many factors. Just look at Jake Browning and the Cincinnati Bengals. Everyone kept saying, because I'm a huge believer in how great and how special Joe Burrow is. And considering what Joe Burrow did last year, we don't talk about it enough, unfortunately, because they didn't make the playoffs. But he had like the worst O-line I've ever come across, especially when it comes to pass block win rate. His defense was absolutely atrocious. He had no run game, and he had two receivers, and one of them were missing for a third of the season. And what he did was insane. The numbers, the production that he put up was just absolutely insanity. And throughout the season, there was so much pushback of like, oh, well, they were down by a lot, which wasn't necessarily true. They did have to score a lot of points, but it wasn't like they were down by 30 going into the fourth quarter. So then you're just launching up easy plays there. As well as the fact of like, well, of course, give so-and-so Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and he'll put up that numbers. And it's just like, that's not always true. You can't just give anyone Justin Jefferson and now, hey, boom, that quarterback's balling. It's not that simple. It's not that straightforward. So there's just always so many variables to this, and it's complicated because it takes a long time to figure out. It can take years to figure out. It's why someone as brilliant as Kevin O'Connell can't just snap his fingers and get, a great special quarterback overnight, or what the exact decision someone should make in any given moment. And with all that said, I don't see why you would want to abandon JJ McCarthy right now. Right now, he's obviously injured and he can't stay. Unfortunately, he genuinely can't stay healthy, right? You have two injuries within a year of each other, and so he literally can't be on the field right now. Like, that's frustrating. That's problematic. I'm not going to be so quick just to jump and be like, oh, well, see, he's injury prone. Well, it's because he's small, because of this, that. Like, I'm not playing that game right now. We can just, wait and see how that comes along. But in terms of when he is healthy and when he can play, and it's if we've seen one great quarter and 7 bad ones, like, yeah, I understand all that, but like, he's allowed to struggle. He's allowed to look ugly. He's allowed to look bad in the beginning because he needs to be developed. He needs to grow and evolve. And that's what I kept saying to Viking fans again and again and again with JJ, is that like, he's going to need to be developed. He's not going to be able to just enter the team and just be able to put up what Sam Darnold was able to do. Like, that is irrational. He would have to be not only one of the greatest quarterbacks like we've ever seen, but also be ready to ball right away for something like that to happen. That it's just not common to be able to just jump onto a team and just ball right from the jump and not deal with any other issues, because other people are saying, oh, what about the O-line? What about this? Yeah, but lots of teams got O-lines. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't still be successful or that you don't get the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'm giving Justin Herbert the benefit of the doubt and whatnot. But you can just see how certain things look different, right? It's not a matter that, like, I'm always expecting someone to, like, overcome injuries or lack of receivers or run game or whatnot. But you can just tell the difference between an experienced veteran, someone who's been in the league for a while, and someone who's now dealing with that, but also needs to learn the NFL game. Not to mention, when you do have some of those issues, like Justin Herbert's still going to get sacked. Justin Herbert's still going to throw an interception when he's missing, 3 or 4 of his starting line and whatnot. But at the same time, then there's other throws that he simply will not miss. He simply will not miss. Or there's more tools for a coach to be able to utilize to help get through this problem of saying, like, again, a bad O-line, no run game, whatever type of issues that you're dealing with, that a young quarterback just is going to struggle with. So yes, even a Carson Wentz, who you could say, listen, J.J. McCarthy's got the potential to be way better than Carson Wentz. It's like, whether that's true or not, let's just say that's 100% true. That's fine. But in year one, today, in 2025, when you have to deal with, like, a bad receiver, no run game, bad O-line, terrible defense, a bad coach, a great coach, like any of these types of things, yeah, Carson Wentz is going to be able to troubleshoot and navigate that a little bit better, just like Sam Darnold would be as well, relative to a J.J. McCarthy. So it is always this kind of constant battle when you're dealing with a young quarterback, the short term and the long term. And this was always a big problem that the Vikings faced when they had a team that can clearly win and an awesome coaching staff. Like, you have a team where you're like, we're ready, we're here. And unfortunately for Sam, I don't want to say that he was scapegoated, but, like, he was kind of scapegoated. That team kind of fell apart. There was issues with the O-line. Kevin O'Connell did not do a good enough job against the Lions and against the Rams. And everyone just said, oh, see, that Sam Darnold, he turned into a pumpkin. And it was like, not really. And that's why I always pointed out, I'm like, look what happened when Patrick Mahomes was dealing with all the pressure. Look what happens when Justin Herbert was dealing with all the pressure. Like, those two quarterbacks didn't look so great. And we've seen Lamar Jackson struggle and play. Like, we see all great quarterbacks. But even if we're just specifically talking about dealing with pressure, O-line issues, et cetera, et cetera. And this is where I always push back because, every time if I bring up a Patrick Mahomes in that example, people are very quick to be like, well, he's won Super Bowl. It's like, it doesn't matter. I'm just showing you an example of clearly a special quarterback, clearly a quarterback who's awesome, who's one of the most gifted quarterbacks we've ever seen. And Patrick Mahomes downright looked terrible when the pressure was getting to him. And we're just magically expecting someone like a Sam Darnold to just magically just overcome that just again and again. Like, I'm just not going to expect that. And I'm not going to expect J.J. McCarthy to either, and especially any young quarterback right now. So it was always a nuanced conversation. The reason why I especially blame Kevin O'Connell, and again, I think Kevin O'Connell is an absolute brilliant coach, and every franchise except for, like, the Rams and the Chiefs should be wanting Kevin O'Connell here. So I think he's absolutely brilliant. But I remember watching that Lions game, and I'm like, well, this is a mess. Sam's under duress this whole time. There's a lot going on, and I said to myself, going into this next game, I was like, I believe clearly we see all the issues with the O-line. Clearly we see with all the pressure getting to Sam. I'm like, I'm expecting Kevin O'Connell to have a really smart game plan going into the playoffs. Like, I believe that Kevin O'Connell is going to give Sam solutions to this problem. And they weren't there. And I was just like, what? And I remember watching this game and I was like, what the heck is this? And now I look at all the response to it, and everyone's like, Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold. And I was like, that's not how I felt watching this game. And I was like so grateful because then I watched John Middlecoff's podcast, and he was like the only guy that was like willing to like call out Kevin O'Connell and be like, what was that play calling? What were you doing? Why were you not trying to run the ball, et cetera, et cetera? And to me, that was the take. I was like, yeah, wow, I 100% agree with this. And little things like that didn't get discussed enough throughout this offseason. And so, it just became a lot easier to be like, yep, we're going to just move on from Sam. Yeah, he gave us a good year, but we're just going to move on. And, we're on the J.J. McCarthy train now. And it's like, again, it's not inherently the wrong move necessarily, but it's not either the complete story of maybe how this should have all been unpacked. And so, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's so much easier and more straightforward when you just draft a young quarterback who's healthy, who you can develop, where you don't have this like gotta win right now, let's go mentality, where you didn't just have some quarterback who a lot of people didn't respect, who balled out with you, right? And now you have a coach and a team that has a track record of playing great with quarterbacks that people don't typically see as great. But the reality is that Kirk Cousins is also a really, really, really good quarterback. And you got Kirk Cousins near the tail end of his prime, of his health with his age. But Kirk Cousins could always sling it, and he's more of a traditional style quarterback. So when you compare him to like Lamar, Mahomes, and Josh Allen, it's harder for people to really see what a Kirk Cousins can do great. But Kirk Cousins is very much cut from like a Jared Goff cloth, where it's like, give him the coach, give him the roster, give him the team, and he will be able to wheel and deal and ball. The biggest problem was you got Kirk Cousins like in his 30s. You didn't get him when he was 26, 27, 28. And otherwise, you would still probably be letting it rip with a Kirk Cousins. Obviously, torn Achilles and all of that kind of expedited his removal. But there was always this idea that you could just insert any quarterback and just get automatically great. And I felt like I debunked that before when I showed everyone the backup quarterbacks that they played with, and everyone just said, "Oh, see, he did great," and it was like, they had some success, but let's tell the whole story here. Like, it ended up still being a mess. They still only ended up winning a couple games. Like, it was not pretty. And they had games where they could not score points. Like, it's not this automatic, hey, we can insert any quarterback here. I think Andy Reid's the greatest offensive coach of all time. And I'm a firm believer that every single quarterback who's ever played in the NFL will be better if Andy Reid is their coach. But it doesn't mean that I believe that you can just throw in Gardner Minshew and they're winning Super Bowls here, or that you could just throw in any old quarterback and then they're just going to, conference championship game after conference championship game after conference championship game. There's got to be some sort of in-between factor here. So I sympathize with the Vikings in this situation because it's a tough situation right now. And finding a quarterback who can just be your quarterback of the future is not easy. But I don't think it has to now just be automatically like, oh gosh, JJ is not him. The problem is that this is the time where you need to continue to work on developing JJ. You lost all of last year. You're losing this year right now. And now you get in this weird in-between moment right now. And it's just not easy. It's honestly, it's just not easy. And I think in a way that's what Colin is trying to say. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately you have to have room just to let JJ McCarthy struggle, to let JJ be bad, to have JJ lose you games, be the sole reason why you lost. Right, and you're gonna have a moment where Justin Jefferson's off to the side and is not looking happy, and Kevin O'Connell is just kind of staring off into space, and they're like, "Oh man, what's going on here?" Like we've seen with essentially every single young quarterback under the sun. I mean, it's just the way it goes. But the Vikings have been able to win a lot of games with a collection of quarterbacks, and so there's the feeling of, hey, if a quarterback can't step into this situation and immediately be great, well, then there's something wrong with that quarterback. And it's like, I think you got to leave the room to let someone like JJ develop and grow, and also leave room to be like, you know what? Yeah, he's a good quarterback, but he's not as great as we thought, or he's not as special as we thought, or you know what? He's not going to be able to just casually reach what Sam Darnold was able to reach, and just that's now just his floor, and he's just able to do that year after year after year. When if you brought Sam Darnold back, you absolutely would have a higher floor right now, and you just would. And in terms of anyone trying to be firm, in fact, firm in their ability to predict what the ceiling would be with Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy, like that they just know without a shadow of a doubt that a JJ will be able to elevate him this team more so than a Sam. Nobody actually really has that answer. Nobody. And I can just tell you right now, I'm watching the Seattle Seahawks game. I'm watching Sam Darnold. He's playing awesome. He's playing absolutely awesome. If you did not know anything about Sam Darnold, if you did not know about the Josh Allens and Patrick Mahomes, you would say Sam Darnold is clearly a top quarterback in the NFL. And you would not bat an eyelash about it. And no, that roster is not stacked. And they don't have a notorious quarterback whisperer, right? Like he's just a really, really good, great, whatever word you want to use, quarterback. And yeah, the Vikings were in this weird situation where they were like, whoa, we didn't necessarily really see this happening. We have JJ McCarthy. We want to be able to continue to build out this roster. We don't want to have to pay a Sam Darnold too much. And quite frankly, the Seattle Seahawks really didn't at all. I mean, honestly, one of the probably the best winning formulas to win in the NFL is obviously having an actual great rookie contract quarterback. But if you can't have that, then it's probably not having like a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes and paying them $60 million, but probably having the Josh Allens of the world, the Baker Mayfields of the world on $100 million deals and being able to just build out your roster. That's probably a better formula. Just look at what Joe Burrow and the Bengals have been struggling with. So yeah, I don't know. It's just tricky, man. It's just there's no easy answer. That's ultimately what I'm trying to at least magnify here. But I don't think, the last thing I'll say is I don't think we have to jump to any strong conclusions. It was always going to be a bummer to let someone as great and as successful as Sam Darnold leave. And you were always destined to go through some rookie growing pains with a JJ McCarthy. Whether that means that JJ McCarthy is not the quarterback right now, that's not the question that needs to be solved in this immediate moment when he hasn't even been able to play 2 complete, fully healthy, high quality games. You just gotta wait. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Vikings? How do you feel right now, the way how this season is unfolding? Because I've talked to the Vikings fans directly so much, and we butt heads a little bit about the Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy, just because I'm definitely a lot more open to Sam than the Vikings fan base was, at least in the summer. And I was one of the people that kept saying, listen, this is going to be growing pains. This is, even if you think JJ McCarthy is going to be the greatest quarterback ever, he's not going to be the greatest quarterback ever from day one. And so I'm just curious how you're feeling in this moment in time right now. Are you optimistic? Are you frustrated? Are you annoyed? How do you feel? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.